Florida State has faced what I've been calling hell month for the last 3 weeks. They've made it through the first 7 games on their schedule with a winning record, but how much better are they than their 4-3 record would seem to indicate? Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and thanks for hanging out. Do me a quick favor and hit the thumbs up, hit the like button there on the video. It helps an absolute ton. We get thousands of views on the videos most of the time, and we hover around 100 or so likes. Do me a favor, smash that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't. Okay, Florida State's schedule over their first 7 games has been one of the toughest in the country. According to teamrankings.com, which I'll link in the description, they've played the 10th toughest schedule to date. I like teamrankings.com's strength of schedule because they do update it on a weekly basis. It's an at this point strength of schedule, which you can go back and look at over the different weeks of the year. Obviously, the last 3 games against 2 top 15 teams and 1 top 5 team immediately come to mind. But factor in FSU playing a good LSU team who's knocking on the door of being ranked right now, back on the road in Louisiana to start the year, as well as Louisville on the road on a Friday night, and FSU's schedule has been extremely difficult to date. The good news is for the Noles, and this is a video for a different day, things do seem to get a little bit easier going forward. At the end of the day, you are what your record says you are, and you can only play the teams that are on your schedule, but nuance is important. I pulled up some numbers on 3 teams who are being propped up right now due to playing pretty weak schedules. First up, one of FSU's opponents, Syracuse. The Orange are riding a 6-0 record that has them ranked inside the top 15. But look at these opponents. Louisville, when Malik Cunningham wasn't running the ball at all. UConn, Purdue, UVA, Wagner. They did have the benefit of getting to play NC State at home and without Devin Leary, which sort of looks like a good win, but we all know it really isn't that impressive. Syracuse's record is so propped up by their 51st ranked strength of schedule. If Florida State and Syracuse played tomorrow, the spread would be in favor of FSU on a neutral field. It might be Q's -2 or -3 at home. Next up, Ole Miss. I know, the vaunted SEC schedule, but this isn't one of those. Ole Miss legitimately does not have a great win on the schedule. They beat a Kentucky team who's 5-2, immediately lost to South Carolina after losing to Ole Miss. And outside of that, they have wins against Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Tulsa, Vandy, and soon-to-be head coachless Auburn. Ole Miss has the 57th toughest schedule in the NCAA. Last up, let's go out west. UCLA. Chip Kelly's the darling of the media these days since his team has miraculously turned it around and is now 6-0. The Bruins boast the 54th toughest schedule to date in college football. They picked up a nice win against then-ranked Washington after taking down the behemoths of Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama, and Colorado. Their one respectable win against Utah is really the only thing that's impressive there. And keep in mind, they got to play both Washington and Utah at home in Pasadena. Florida State would be a favorite against UCLA on a neutral field. There's no doubt about it. And at most, they're a 3-point dog to Ole Miss right now. Just look at Ole Miss, who travels to LSU this weekend. LSU has 2 losses, yet is a slight favorite in Baton Rouge to knock off the Rebels and hand them their first loss of the season. What's all this mean for FSU? Well, currently the Noles are 4-3. And at the end of the day, like we said, you are what your record says you are. But as my buddy Brendan Sonnone of Noles 247 pointed out, Florida State is currently in the top 25 of both yards per play and yards allowed per play. I'll link his article in the description so you can check that out fully. But Florida State right now is playing better than their record, which we pointed out has been pretty brutal, would seem to indicate. They've just had a really difficult stretch to start the year, and there are other factors. The Noles haven't been amazing in the kicking game. They've not converted well in the red zone. Defense has been bad situationally, and end-of-game situations have kind of caught them a couple of times. But they've played an incredibly difficult schedule, which lightens up a ton here over the last 5 games. As things get easier, the Noles should improve and should see several more wins down the stretch against lesser opponents. That's the hope for FSU fans, is that as things get easier and as Florida State continues to operate at a high level, both offensively and defensively, they'll rack up more wins down the stretch. What do you think? Are the Noles better than their record indicates? Will this position them to have a nice finish to the 2022 football campaign? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you again soon. Go Noles.